gives her icebreaker this morning.
Good morning. I feel like between Hannah's and my speech, you guys are going to go do something physical and be hopefully inspired. So, did you know that anybody can run? Barring catastrophic injury, or unless your knees are shot, or you have multiple compressed discs in your back, most everybody can run. I know this now. For many years, I wanted to be a runner. I wanted to be a runner because my brother was a runner. He could run like a gazelle, held the 400 and 800 meter record at our high school, and was recruited to run in college. I thought that surely there was something genetic that flowed through both of us in terms of raw ability. So I too began to run. I ran some awkward seasons of high school track and cross country, always encountering a shin splint or an ankle sprain. I would begin the season with aspirations of greatness and would summarily find myself spending the afternoon with the trainer, nurturing an injury of one variety or another. Other than a few great runs, I left high school with the thought, maybe some people aren't meant to run. Maybe I'm more of a walker. So those great runs lingered in my mind over the years, and periodically I would set off to train for a 5K. I would string together some tedious intervals of walking for 3 minutes and running for 2 until I was running for 5 minutes at a time. And for one reason or another, a pregnancy, a job, or just doubt, I would go back to my walking routine, abandoning the dream. Each year, however, the goal would appear on my New Year's resolution list: run a 5K. When I would fail to do it one year, I would move it to the following year. I did this for more years than I cared to admit. Until one year, I heard a voice that came in like a lightning bolt saying, "You need to either do this or you need to take it off the list." That was 2009, and I had just given birth to the last of my 3 children. I was officially ready to pursue ownership of my own body, and I was clean out of excuses. So once again, I began the process of building my miles. FYI, the first 3 are always the hardest. But finally, I ran my 5K. And I promised myself I would just run the whole thing and not worrying about the pace. But I surprised myself at how decently I did. And this began one of the most powerful domino effects my life has ever encountered. A small voice whispered inside of me, I wonder what else you could do. Shortly after that race, I trained for a 10K and I ran it in 45 minutes, which is under 8-minute miles. And my brother was my first call. I said, "Jeff, is 45 minutes for a 10K good?" To which he responded, "Yes, Laura, it's decent." The question continued to burn. I wonder what else I can do. I wonder what else I can do. The dominoes began to fall and the momentum picked up. I trained for my first 15K and eventually ran my first half marathon in 1 hour and 44 minutes, for which those who don't know is pretty good for a woman in her 30s with 3 kids. The voice got louder. It started to say, "I bet you can run a marathon." I went on to run 2 marathons, many half marathons, and competed in an Olympic distance triathlon, which is terrifying. Swimming in a bay among throngs of people was a near-death experience. One might say it was farcical. Yet in most cases, I was in the top 10% of my age group. This was all from a person who for more than 30 years was pretty sure she wasn't a runner. She thought she was probably just meant to walk. As you can guess, running is not the point. Running is the metaphor for a process that I hope we all get to experience in our lives. It's the process of seeing yourself renegotiate the limits of what is possible. It's the experience of realizing how we live on such small sound stages of our own creation, as we tell ourselves what is possible for ourselves, who we are and who we are not, what people like us can do, and what is probably off limits. It's realizing that the thing that stands in our way is not a family member or time or a complicated situation, but ourselves, constructing limits over our desires. I now know that I can run, but there are still things that are sitting on my new resolution list, much like running did years ago. They sit there on the outside edge of my comfort zone, pulling me in with one hand and pushing me out with the other. But my 46-year-old self knows something that my 30-year-old self had to learn. Doing the hard thing is the point, because nothing is quite as spiritual as the momentum that can be created from doing something you are pretty sure you can't do. So I ask you, fellow Toastmasters, I wonder what else you could do. But I know with a deep certainty, most all of us can run. Thank you.
Very good.